Have you ever come to a really abrupt stop? Like maybe you're driving your car and all of a sudden you see something in front of you and you slam on the brakes and whoa, that seatbelt starts to work. I want to show you a little video of a very abrupt stop. While you're watching that, I want to read you the verses that we're going to be looking at this morning. This is Paul in the book of Galatians, chapter 1, verse 6. And here's what he says. I am amazed that you are so quickly deserting him who called you by the grace of Christ for a different gospel. Wow, that is an abrupt stop. If you've studied the New Testament, you'll probably see that the only letter where Paul does not commend his leaders or readers before launching into the main topic is the book of Galatians. It is an abrupt stop. It is very quick that Paul comes in and starts correcting. So in verse 6 he says, I am amazed at you, Galatians. Have you ever been amazed at someone? If you're a parent, then you have been absolutely amazed at times at some of the things that your children do. If you own an animal, a little pet dog like I do, his name is Briggs, I'm usually amazed at some of the things Briggs does. He's a dachshund, and dachshunds are notoriously stubborn animals. We'll take Briggs out on his little leash, and as we're going along, there might be a place where I'm going to tie him up for a little while, and invariably, about 6 inches before I get to where I'm going to tie him up, he stops. I don't know why, I don't know how he knows, but it's an abrupt stop. See, that's what happens right here in the book of Galatians, chapter 1. Paul says in the first few verses about him being an apostle and being called, but then in verse 6, I'm amazed, Galatians, that you are so quickly deserting him who called you. And then he goes down in verse 8 and he says, but even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to what we have preached to you, he is to be accursed. So here's the interesting thing about the book of Galatians. Several times what Paul does is he keeps telling the Galatians that he did not receive this letter from man or from an angel. Did you see that right there in verse 8? It's not from an angel. It is a revelation of God, verse 1. He was sent an apostle through the agency, not through the agency of man, but through Jesus Christ and God the Father. And then in verse 12 he says, for I neither received it from man nor was I taught it, but I received it through a revelation of Jesus Christ. It wasn't from man, it wasn't from an angel. Do you know that if you looked at the religion of Islam, that Muhammad received his information from the angel Gabriel? If you looked into Mormonism, Joseph Smith received his information from an angel named Moroni. But Paul says, I did not receive it from man, I did not receive it from an angel. It was a direct revelation from God. So Paul is a little bit harsh here in the first few verses of the book of Galatians. But it's because the Galatians were in a huge problem. So church, I know this. Many times in the New Testament, we are called to be kind. We are called to be gentle. We are called to turn the other cheek. But sometimes the church is to deliver a blow and not just continue to receive a blow. Kind of like that little video that we saw right at the beginning. In the book of Galatians, what Paul does very quickly is deliver a blow so that the church can be the church. The local church is the most powerful instrument on the planet to create change. And God wants to use the local church to make a change in society. Study the book of Galatians. Come back with us tomorrow and we'll look at the next part of the book of Galatians.